What is up? This is your boy Anecdotal, and today we're gonna take on a pretty tough thing, man, and that's Pantheon on hard mode. All right, so let me just give you just a little, some small tip here, and that is support characters are useless to me. Okay, so there are two times, man, when I decide to take on Pantheon mode in hard, and that is depending on who they ban. When they ban support characters, I'm in there, bro. I don't care about support characters. And second, when they're blue, parentheses, the guardian characters, whether they're blue or not, I don't care. Now listen, I worked on my GM. It was my very first carry, and I'm still working on GM now to get him to the 600 iconic weapon like status. But it's just him. No one else matters. When it comes to like really great characters, none of them are guardians, and honestly, none of them are really supports other than, you guessed it, for supporting. So I don't care about them. That's about it. Now, how do I usually do it? I really have two main teams, and everyone else is just everyone else. My main teams are going to be my two best tanks. Number one is Typhoon. He's a buffer. He's a tank. He's a nuisance. My second best tank is, I don't know, man. I put Poseidon in there. He has his little tidal wave thing. It displaces people. It puts them all in one spot. So those are my two, for me, best tanks. Athena, I still think is also a really great tank. But yeah, those are my two main tanks. And for, let's see, who am I going to get here? So I treat the Pantheon on hard mode, obviously, very differently than I treat easy mode. For hard mode, I like having Zeus. Because when Zeus is there, you just have damage. And when your best teams are out, when you lose your best teams, the Zeus effect will still be there. These are just kind of passive things that happen. So as long as you're there, he's going to take out, what was it, like 8% max HP off of your character, of the enemy characters. So you can have a complete horrible team of not even SSR heroes, and the thunder will strike, your opponents will lose HP, and every time that does happen, you can just keep recycling really bad characters out there until you completely use up all of your roster. And, anywhere between like 8% to maybe 25% of HP will be all taken out. And then you could have your actual characters get reborn using those, squirrel nuts, those revived squirrel nuts, and bam, you're good. You can go ahead and attack again. Also, I do like to have at least anywhere between 15, if not 15, 20, because you do need 5 to revive. So anywhere between 15, so I can revive my entire roster 3 times, or 20, so I can revive them 4 times. That's really, usually that's all I need. If I doubt that I will ever need more. So while you do this, sometimes you might want to change up your team formation. I always go 3 DPS in the back, 2 tanks in the front, because I'm all about damage. But sometimes these guys are just really annoying, and you have to sort of block off certain characters from getting destroyed. So I do switch to a 2 in the back, 3 in the front formation. I don't love it. I don't usually do it, but sometimes, you just got to do what you got to do. But as I was saying, though, my 2 main tanks would usually be Typhoon. He's just great to have, and Poseidon, also because of his kind of CC that he has. And in the back, I either go with 3 mages or I go with 3 fighters. The 3 mages usually is going to be GM at the top. In the middle, I'll have Izanami, right? Or Izanumi, whatever her name is, because the way her wave attack works, she hits people from the middle to the top and the bottom. So if you place her anywhere that's not the middle, you're going to be missing out on potential DPS that she can give. And then in the bottom, I usually have, I always call her Nephi, but I don't know, Nephetitis? I don't know her name, bro, but you're going to see her on the game, right? You're looking, you see her. She's super useful, man. She increases the amount of damage that you will take from magic. So your magic resist will go down, which means that my other 2 mages in the back will do more damage. And she also kind of like is like a support, where she also heals. So not only does she do a little bit of some healing, but she also increases my damage by lowering the defenses of the enemy. So I actually really like Nephi on my mage team. Now, are there better ones? Of course, man. If you have Amaterasu, you're killing it with your UR, you're spending money, then drop that wallet, boy, do your thing. But I don't, so that's not what I do. right? And then if one of those die of my mage team, what I will do is I'll put my fox. I don't remember what the fox's name is, but you already know, man. It's the Viridian, or the green fox that travels around with a really high dodge rate that kind of scatters her DPS, which I don't love. But because I have Poseidon that does the whirlpool thing, and everyone's in one place, the attack kind of like just works, right? And she's also just super useful. She was also one of my main carries along with GM and Izzy. So with those three, they were my once main characters. That's who I used to use, along with Athena was once one of my mains. All right, for my secondary team, and sometimes I'll switch up tanks, you know, and switch up my offense in the back line. I like having Marmaduke. Marmaduke is basically the cleanup crew, and then I'll have a for real tank, which would be Athena. Now, the reason why Athena is a real tank is because Marmaduke can die, right? But as long as 2 people do die, because I maxed out the iconic weapon for my Marmaduke, I mean, standard max it out to 500, not 600. I'm not a whale here. He's able to do just crazy damage with his jumps in his Warlord mode. But that being said, Athena can keep my Marmaduke alive to be able to get to the Warlord mode, because her special procs, she gives everybody a shield, and Marmaduke really needs that shield. The second person that really needs that shield as a fighter in the back that I like to use is Susanoo. Susanoo, huge DPS, also kind of like the Fox, pretty high dodge. But in order for him to also have some level of sustainability, because he does have high dodge, high DPS, and a pretty good amount of lifesteal with his attacks, he does need to be able to get that attack off. If he doesn't get the attack off, it's not worth it. So I like having Athena there to give him an extra shield. Now, he already has a shield within his divinity. You can put that he has a shield in there. That's always really helpful, but it doesn't always do the job. Right? So the other fighter that I really like to have in the back is Freya. Freya just, she's great debuff, has people bleed, and has a max HP sort of destroyer kind of thing. So she's really good for not only bosses that have a large amount of HP, but I mean, not just good, she's meta for bosses, but she's also very, very good for tanks. And the tanks that we're facing in the hard version of Pantheon have crazy amount of HP, bro. So if you could have a bleed stack on any of those tanks, you can be able, that will enable you to take out those tanks lickety split. So right here, look at that. I got Athena, crazy, crazy tank. I got Odin, another crazy tank. And then I got Apollo, which is basically a fighter that has crazy shields that's already going to be supplemented by everyone else. We got Aphrodite, I think, in the bottom, and Artemis in the back. Artemis, crazy DPS only when you're facing them in Pantheon. I don't care about Artemis, but I might, you know. She's one of those other for boss only type characters. And then Apollo, I hear, is just a beast, but he's too new, and I wasn't able to get a lot of copies of him. I might work on him later. Currently, I am working on the dynamic duo of Odin and Archimedes. Once I got them, and I can see what the DPS is like, I'll let you know if they're anywhere near as good as everyone seems to say that he is, right? So for me right now, I don't know yet, but I don't mind working on them, having them, and then seeing what they can do. I already got, I guess you could say I got lucky, but I've been playing the game long enough to have so many dupes of them that my Odin and my Archimedes are pretty close to being maxed out. And Archimedes was in the game like for a long time, so it's no wonder that I'm pretty close with him. But all I know is that he does die easily. But ever since Odin came out, helped him survive, everything kind of changed. But I kind of just thought, nah, I don't care. Not gonna happen. But hey, I have no one really to work on right now, so I might as well get them to 500 and then try to max them out as well. The other fighter that I really love is you saw him doing his thing right there, was Loki. So Loki and Freya came out, I think, back to back, and that's when I really started getting into the game. Loki, ooh, that survivability, boy. He creates his phantoms. He does crazy damage, but it does drop off in the high game, or in end game, which I'm kind of in. I only say that I'm in end game because within PvP, I'm always top 10. And I'm usually somewhere in the top 10, top 20, at the worst top 50 when it comes to most events that everyone is a part of. So believe it or not, man, as much as I love Loki, and I'll probably still invest everything I can into him, I'm even gonna get him to 600. He's the fighter that I chose to work on. Uh, if I can go back, I would take away all the effort that I put on him from 500 to 600. I would take that away and put it on somebody else. Getting him up to 500 and using him this whole time, he's been an amazing carry. He's been, dude, he's been great. He upped my damage for every boss. I think he is the reason why I was able to beat all of the original elemental bosses. He was one of those key reasons. So was Fox. The Fox was what's her name? Taimo? I forgot her name. But yeah, the green fox was also one of the reasons why I was able to finish it. Those two stayed alive. The girl, the fox, because of the dodge, and Loki because he kept having those phantom clones, and his DPS was just crazy. But his DPS no longer seems to be scaling as much as I wanted it to. I still think he's useful. I still think he has major utility usage. But, you know, man, if I had to rank him, would I say he's S tier? You know, probably not. Probably A tier, bro. All right, here you go, man. Like I said, you want to be able to get all the attack. It's really good to get some health recovery for different things you can pick up now that you're over here. Always just waste all of your people, right? Especially if you got Thor to do damage, or any debuffer, or Medusa that freezes them for a little bit. They're all useful. Every couple of seconds that you can get to do some extra damage to keep them from doing damage to you will help you beat hard mode, right? I just talked about some of the characters I use, why I use them, and hopefully that's some sort of valuable information. If not, for at least me, I found it to be somewhat invaluable for me to be able to do absolutely anything, right? Thor, he has a stun. Look at some stuff, see if other people have stuns. Maybe you can create more of a stunning team. My favorite team, of course, is my original mage team, because just all of that decreasing magic, increasing your own magic, doing more damage. And this is all without supports, right? Because there are a lot of two-way characters that are not just tanks but also DPS, like Marduk or like Typhoon. But honestly, Typhoon is just so sick, bro. Not only is he a DPS, but he's also defense, and he's also a tank. You feel me? So it's great to have him, bro. I really do love Typhoon, bro. He's the person that I got pretty much all my stacks on. In fact, when I go to actually fight other people, or I fought like this one boss, I forgot what it was in. There was a boss that duplicates your highest BP character. It was Typhoon, and I don't even have that full maxed out. So I ended up fighting an extra Typhoon, which only had regular stats and no skills. So it wasn't anything too difficult to deal with. But I could only imagine if it was a different character that got copied, I would have ended up getting destroyed. But yeah, as you can see here, another amazing character that if you haven't worked on, you can probably do it right now, and that's Morgan. You see Morgan down there? Red character, right? What was Red called in this? No idea. Totally forgot. Blanked. But Morgan is insane. She basically just gives your character a revive. She takes you out for like a few seconds. And if you haven't killed anyone yet, or if you have killed somebody, you revive with more health. She's basically an extra revive where you could not get damage. So honestly, you want to really target Morgan as quickly as possible, man. Morgan is super annoying. In the same way that Susanoo kind of makes you change your formation, Morgan can make you change your formation when you're going against them. Because you want to try to make sure that they don't completely demolish your team. Or for Morgan's case, you want to make sure to not have them have someone that can become invincible and then, of course, demolish your team. So there are characters that they might not actually be the meta, but they disrupt your team so much that you need to change your formation. Now, you could also look at it as long as you're paying attention, you can just change up your formation, you can get the dub. But not always. You might see Morgan, you might know you gotta beat her, but can you? Same thing for Amaterasu. You might know you're not supposed to use mages because she has Magic Reflect, which is super OP, just kind of broke the game, and still is breaking the game. You could just use a fighter and knock her out. But if your Amaterasu is already super built, she is still a very strong character to have to contend with, even without her Magical Reflect, because just her regular magic DPS is something to write home about. You know what I'm saying? OP characters are just OP characters. Some just have an OP ability, like Morgan just has an OP ability. Some are you just can't mess with, man. Typhoon, one of those ones you can't mess with. Marduk, one of those ones you just can't mess with. And I'll notice that these are a lot of them are UR characters. I hear really good things about Apollo though. I'm not working on Apollo, but oh, man, somebody hasn't maxed out Apollo. Let me know how Apollo does in PvP. Let me know how he does against bosses and all of those things. But yeah, man, there you go. Completely maxed out the hard version of Pantheon. Gave you some rundown and tips on the characters that you might want to work on and use for Pantheon, and of course some of the things that you want to have, which of course is you want to have really high attack, you want to have any type of debuff characters or attack increasers on you. But before we go, we're gonna have to summon. Let's see if I got something lucky. So far, every video I've recorded, I've gotten something, and here you go, I got Izzy. As you know, Izzy, for me, totally maxed out, one of my early game carries, so I already have her maxed out. As a collector of artifacts, of course, I'm gonna exchange her, max out one of the sword artifacts, probably for the red team. Do all the stuff, like, comment, subscribe, peace out.